The cable car rescue operation in Jharkhand may be coming to an end soon. 3 people were killed, several injured after the cable cars in a ropeway collided with one another close to the famous Baba Baidhanath temple in Jharkhand's Deoghar district on Sunday. At that time, at least 40 people were left stranded inside a cable car overnight. Then yesterday, we saw dramatic rescue visuals which showed military choppers, the NDRF and the ITBP being used to get them to safety. This morning, more people have been rescued, and now 2 people remain stranded in the cable cars for 44 hours. Now they've been stranded in those cable cars, but the rescue operation is winding up, though there was also a very, very tragic occurrence. As we said, 3 people have died in this, and one of them is a person who was being rescued, and he actually reached the chopper but then fell to his death from the chopper. In view of all the horrified people who are watching this, there you can see those visuals, absolutely horrific. This person who was rescued from one of the cable cars then actually fell to his death. So for the moment, 2 people now remain stranded in 3 carriages mid-air, while over 40 were rescued in this very, very risky and challenging operation involving 2 Air Force helicopters and dozens of officials. Let's go across to NDTV's Alok Pandey now for more. Alok, finally this nightmare seems to be coming to an end. Just 2 more people left to rescue.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I think you've used a very apt word when you call it a nightmare, because it is not only a nightmare for those who were trapped for close to 48 hours on that ropeway, but it is also a nightmare for those who carried out the rescue, because it was perhaps one of the most challenging rescue operations that we have seen in the recent time. This is India's longest vertical ropeway according to the Jharkhand government. This is what they say on their tourism website. And you can very well imagine that these passengers were left dangling in mid-air for close to 48 hours. And it was a challenge to even give them basic necessities like water, and forget food, I mean even water. And yesterday we also saw those harrowing images of one person being first rescued from the cable car, being hoisted up, and then eventually losing his grip on the chopper and falling to his death. It was very difficult to see, and I'm sure that there will be a thorough inquiry into what circumstances led to something like that happening, because it cast, a big shadow or a big question mark on the whole rescue operation. But nevertheless, the Indian Air Force and the NDRF and the ITBP and all other agencies have carried out a very challenging operation. And the fact that they have managed to get so many people out, despite the challenges of terrain, the challenges of accessibility, is at the end of the day something that is praiseworthy. Now remember that this is hilly terrain, and this is, again, just to reiterate for our viewers, this is Jharkhand's Deoghar. Now Deoghar has a very famous temple, the Baba Baidhanath temple. And then you also have this ropeway, which is also a major tourist attraction. This incident happened on Sunday afternoon, around between 4 to 4:30 p.m. And I think the other inquiry or post-mortem that really needs to be done is why an incident like this happened. As we perhaps look at the final images or the images of the rescue operation in its last stages, etc., I think we need to really focus on why an incident like this took place, and the fact that it does cast a big shadow on, ropeways and adventure activities in our country at the end of the day, because this is a very famous ropeway. Manish Kumar, my colleague, he was in Deoghar yesterday, and he was speaking with top officials there, and many of them, including the local BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, yesterday said that one of the reasons why this could have happened was because of low or improper maintenance, and the fact that these cable cars were perhaps crowded. Nishikant Dubey, the BJP MP, for instance, said that one cable car should carry 4 passengers, but it was carrying 7 to 8. Why and how that was being allowed is something that needs a serious examination, and action should be taken against all officials. I mean, imagine, Gargi, you've had a situation where close to 48 to 49 people have been stuck mid-air in this cable car, and at least 3 people have died. including,
No,
like I said, that
absolutely,
very
and
dramatic,
again it puts
for
the
want of a
focus on
better
India's
word,
very
footage of that
low
man falling to his
safety
death.
standards, unfortunately, in many, even in cruises, in ferries, in cable cars, even in school buses. This is something that we've also spoken about, school vans, how they're full of school children and, often over capacity, and this is all is a hazard when it comes to safety. But very, very challenging, as you mentioned, for the people who are involved in this rescue operation. As we said, it's the longest vertical cable car in the country, and interestingly, Alok, I believe drones, because since people were trapped from Sunday in this heat, drones were also being used to get water and food to the people who remained trapped, and for them, I just can't imagine being claustrophobic myself. What a nightmare it must have been.
Well, yes, you are absolutely right. And in fact, the very fact that getting to these people was such a challenge, This was not a normal situation where you have somebody, say, trapped in the middle of a jungle. I mean, even then you can get people from all sides to rescue any such, to carry out a rescue in any such situation. But here you have, like we've been pointing out, all of these cable cars dangling in mid-air, and that too at quite a height. I mean, you look at those chopper POV shots that are being tweeted by the Indian Air Force, and that gives you an idea of the challenge. I mean, you have these Indian Air Force personnel first going down. In fact, the rescue that's happening today, you have a lot of the Air Force personnel going down and actually getting the people to cling on to them as they bring them up and then put them inside the chopper. So maybe that is some kind of a course correction, because yesterday, again going back to the same footage, I mean, I don't want to keep on going back to it, but if you look at the visuals from yesterday, you had that man perhaps alone in a chair and he was being hoisted up, and then he somehow managed to lose his balance and fell to his death. Very, very unfortunate. But it was very challenging, all of these people, those choppers carrying out sorties after sortie. And they've been flying since Sunday evening, and I believe that there were 2 choppers that were involved, and all of them going overhead, coming to a point where they can have somebody, go lower, access the cable car, get people out, get them up to safety. I mean, very tricky, and I think at the end of the day, everyone has to be commended for the fact that so many people managed to, get out of those cable cars safely.
Right.
Again, I mean, this of course does not take away from those very sad deaths, and an inquiry should be conducted, but a very challenging operation.